Hi everyone, welcome back to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel. It's a chilly day out there, but we are warming up here in the studio downtown. Just had a Rutgers University geophysicist, Vadim Levin, talk with us about recent findings by scientists of hot rock rising under New England. Now, he said there's no threat to anybody here, but the project they are involved with are finding interesting developments here in the region, so we'll be sure to link to those when you check it out after. Speaking of things that are warm and ways to warm up, nothing is hotter than what's going on right now. Love Never Dies at PPAC through the weekend, and we have the Phantom here with us in studio. Gardar, Thor, Cortes is around the corner. Oh, welcome on to the studio. Appreciate your coming in today.
Hello, thank you very
Have
much.
a seat. I appreciate your walking just down the
Thank
street
you.
here from PPAC
Yeah.
to do a little press about being in the show.
Yeah.
Love Never Dies.
Yes.
You're the Phantom.
I am, yes.
And it's technically sort of a sequel to Phantom of the Opera, but Andrew Lloyd Webber has said it could be a standalone piece. You don't have to have seen the Phantom to appreciate it.
No, you don't have to have seen Phantom of the Opera, but it is a sequel. You get to know and find out what has happened to these characters and these lovely people 10 years later. So it doesn't, it's fine to see it on its own, but it does not hurt to have seen Phantom of the Opera because you get closure.
You get closure, if
Yeah.
you will. And so talk with us about your run as the Phantom and how you got into the role.
Well, I've been associated with Phantom of the Opera and Love Never Dies for a while now. The first introduction for me was playing Raoul in the West End in London, and then I got to do the Phantom in Love Never Dies in Hamburg, in German, a couple of years ago, and then here I am now in America for the first time, touring all these great places in North America. So I know him quite well, and he feels good. He's a very complex character. He's very diverse, many layered, and it's fun to get out there every day and show people that.
And talk with us a little bit about the production itself. 10 years later, the Phantom's on Coney Island.
Yes, he's made his empire on Coney Island.
And the show Phantasma.
Mm-hmm.
Talk with us a little bit about that. You know, where do we find ourselves 10 years later?
Well, as I say, he's made his empire there. He escaped from the Paris Opera. As we know, in the end of Phantom of the Opera, Meg reveals his throne and finds nothing but the mask. So somehow he escaped to, we don't know where, but turns out he escaped to Coney Island, where he built his empire. And in Paris, he was obviously, hidden and always in the background, doing all these terrible things, magical things, strange things, but always on his own. Here, he can walk among the freaks because Coney Island is a strange place, or was a strange place, more then than now, I think. And there were oddities and things that people had never seen before. So there, he feels more at home. And has built his empire and is his own master and king, if you like, and that's how Love Never Dies opens. We see this magical place of roller coasters and freaks and magical things, and it's 10 years later, so he's matured. He has grown, and in many ways changed, like you and I do, and everyone does, when time goes on.
But he still has a little bit of an obsession.
Oh, yes. I mean, he's been
He'll never not be
he's been-
obsessed.
No, he's been pining for Christine all these years, every day since he left her, and he is his one true love, and the person he can't live without.
Now, for folks who go to see the show, which runs through Sunday here in Providence at PPAC, if they've seen Phantom of the Opera and they know Andrew Lloyd Webber, is the music the same, stylistically a little different? How would you contextualize sort of what to expect going to Love Never Dies versus having seen the Phantom?
Well, Andrew's music is genius. He's a master of making melodies, and the orchestration is so lush and full and beautiful. So that is the same as in Phantom. Obviously, he is a good composer. So you can expect good music. Regarding Phantom and Love Never Dies, the similarities are definitely there because it is a sequel. But it's all new music, but when you hear a song from Love Never Dies, like you do in Phantom of the Opera, it sticks immediately. That's the magic that he has. I don't know, some composers can do it, and he can. So he's made new music in Love Never Dies, but he also makes references to Phantom of the Opera. In poignant moments in Love Never Dies, when a character is suddenly reminiscing something of the past, you'll hear a few bars or a few notes from Phantom, and it's done so brilliantly. So you definitely hear all through the show snippets from Phantom, which connects the two. That's why it's good to. That's why it's a sequel. You know, you get, as I said, you get closure. You get to know what happens to these people, and the music is just as much part of that as you know, of the characters as anything else.
So here you are, the North American tour in Providence. You've had a couple performances to date, again, through the weekend. I love when we're able to have actors just come right down the street here into the studio, because so many people have the opportunity to go and see the performance. But I love the backstory, what it's like to be an actor, traveling around, different performances. There must not be an average day per se, but how does the day start? How do you get ready for the role? If it's an evening performance, what's a typical day in your life?
Well, a typical day is you sleep as long as you can. That's the main thing, to get as much rest as you can, because, as we all know, sleep, doesn't matter what profession you do, sleep is the foundation. A typical day, you have your breakfast and you relax. You try and have an as normal day as you can, because you want, you know, it's a strange and hectic life, but you want to keep it as normal as you can. So I don't know, a typical day, you get up, have your breakfast, and have your shower, and before you know it, it's time to go to the theatre. So that is basically all we do. We perform, we sing, we eat, and we sleep. This is it, because we perform every night, and then the one day that we have off is a travel day. So you have to keep yourself in form physically and mentally.
So while we have you here in studio, I know we get singers and performers. Should you be resting your voice? Are we making you talk too much before the show?
It's all right. I would stop if it was too much.
And how do you warm up before a show?
Well, you do your scales, and you do. Every singer has a different routine as into how they prepare and warm up. I have my methods and my scales and my exercises that I go through.
Do people recognize you on the street?
No.
Because you're you're just the Phantom. So playing through Sunday at PPAC, what else should folks know if Christmas is come and gone, they might have a night free, why should they go see Love Never Dies?
Well, because it's beautiful. I honestly think it's one of the most enjoyable pieces of work that I've had the pleasure of being part of. It really is. These characters are so. I said earlier, the Phantom is so many layered, and he's a genius. He's a murderer. He's obsessive. He's compassionate. He's gentle. He has a crazy streak to him. All these things, and to get to do that every night is a real pleasure for me and for the audience. This audience to experience. And it's not just the Phantom, but the other characters all have their different strengths and weaknesses. So to see that every night, it's you're seeing a piece of theatre, a piece of art, a piece of music. So that those characters with the story, plus the music of Andrew Lloyd Webber, it can't go wrong. And now, obviously, in the holiday season, people are free and to come and see it. We have a performance on Christmas Eve, which I think it's an early one. I think it's 6:30, so it's finished about 9:30. So
you can go on New Year's and go out after.
Exactly, there's enough time to do your thing on New Year's Eve. So I think people will, if they have the same reaction as I had when I heard the musical first, I know they'll like it.
And so talk with us. I don't want to put you on the spot, but you're here in Providence. How beautiful is the Providence Performing Arts Center?
It's lovely. Oh, it is beautiful. It's really nice.
It's been restored in recent years. It's a gorgeous facility.
It is beautiful, and obviously my home while I'm in these theatres is the stage, and it's quite tight. It's one of those theatres quite tight at the back, but it's so friendly and there's a warm feeling to it. It's very nice.
So how do you deal with that when you go to different theaters? I mean, you have your marks. I mean, every performance in every city must have a different element to it.
Yes, it does. You get used to it. You know, it's always the same set and the same. Everything the same on stage, but the you know it's where you walk beside and behind which differs.
Well, to the lay person, you know, we see it and it looks like it goes off flawlessly, but there's so much to it.
Yeah, usually. I mean, sometimes if it's very different, the theatre, the first couple of days in a city will be challenging, as in, you know, where you go off, and sometimes there isn't a back space to go behind the set, so there you have to go under the stage.
Oh,
these
figure
things,
it out, the little quirks.
You do have to figure out the little quirks, but you get used to it, and we always have meetings every first day in every city, the company together, to go over these things. So we're professionals and we know what we're doing, so we make it work.
Of course. And have you gotten out and about at all? It's so cold here right now.
It's very cold. It's like home. It's like home. No, I haven't had a chance. As I said, what we do is we perform and we sleep and we eat.
You eat, sleep, drink, breathe theater. And, you know, so much right now with, you know, movies and DVDs. Nothing will replace the theater or a theater experience.
No, it's live, and that's the beauty of it.
And you're the Phantom, and I appreciate your taking the time to come in today.
That's
Love
fine.
Never Dies at the Providence Performing Arts Center through Saturday. Gardar, Thor, Cortes, I appreciate you taking the time to come in.
It's been a pleasure.
Bundle up. Don't catch a cold, and don't talk to anyone else on the way to the theater.
I won't.
Okay. I appreciate your coming in. I'll let you go around the corner.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Very fortunate to be able to get actors and actresses down from the Providence Performing Arts Center just a couple blocks, but when they walk on a day like today, it is a little cold. So we appreciate them bundling up and taking the time to come down, especially before a performance. Love Never Dies at PPAC through Sunday. Gardar, Thor, Cortes is The Phantom. Again, this is the sequel to Phantom of the Opera, playing now at PPAC. Again, we appreciate their willingness to share some of their actors with us here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. So we're staying warm here. We've got more in store for you tomorrow here at GoLocal. Molly O'Brien returns for 3 o'clock in the Lifestyle Hour. I'll be back at 4 with news and politics. Stay warm out there, everyone. We appreciate your tuning in. Be sure to check in the 17 Rhode Islanders who had the biggest impact in 2017 in Rhode Island on GoLocal today. You can see those individual stories. Be sure to check it out and share with friends. We appreciate your tuning in to GoLocal here. 3 o'clock was The Taste with Rick Simone. Food trucks, late night eats, perfect subject for the upcoming New Year's Eve holiday. And we were able to touch base with a professor down at Rutgers University who did some interesting work looking at the geology up here in New England. There is hot rock under some corners of New England. He talked a little bit about that. And of course, getting Love Never Dies here in the studio. So thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Be sure to go on GoLocal Prow for updates. But stay warm. We'll see you back at the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel. Kate Nagel. Kate Nagel. Kate Nagel.